All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. I am sorry I am late. It has been a wild, crazy day, but we are live and we've got a lot to talk about. We got some earnings coming up after the bell. There's going to be some very important earnings. We got CRM, we have Snowflake, and we have Path. So in the next 15 minutes, I'll put the which one outperforms poll in the chat. We are going to see which one of these companies outperform. CRM, Snowflake, and UiPath. Very important companies in the SaaS space. UiPath being the smallest out of these two, or out of these three. And we're going to see what numbers that they put up. Outside of the earnings picture today, we had a bunch of things happen that just were super random on the day. Starting off with that Microsoft headline. Tesla, by the way, pumping. We'll talk about Tesla in a second. Microsoft down about 2% of the day. Microsoft was down 3%. The Information put out an article that said Microsoft's AI sales are slowing down. And Copilot, the market kind of cared, then the market didn't care. Microsoft came out that said, and they basically said, hey, this is not exactly true. And now Microsoft is down about 1.87% of the day. So that kind of started off the day. We were green in the pre-markets and then we went red. Nvidia breaking below 180. You do have a pretty bullish Nvidia headline that we'll talk about in a second. Amcor, just a massive day, up 7.86%, 43.85. The S&P 500, wow, 684, high of day on the S&P. Didn't even see that. That's up 0.5%. And then Google's at 320. I did buy more Nvidia. I bought it at 180. It's at 179.64. So my timing is phenomenal. But the reason I bought it is just because I'm like, everything was pumping today across the entire market, and Nvidia's red. The names that are derivative of Nvidia, like an Amcor, there is no Amcor without Nvidia, is up 8% on the day, and Nvidia's red. I mean, it's kind of laughable at this point what's happening and how scared the market is of this AI bubble and how they're discounting Nvidia. But nonetheless, that seems to be what is happening. UNH is up 5% on the day. Oscar is up 1.72%. Robinhood, we got a big update on them. That's up 6.5%. And then Palantir, that is up 3% on the day. Like, Nebula should not be up and Nvidia is down. It's really not making a lot of sense to me, but I do think the market is a bit scared of what's going on with Nvidia. So what happened with Nvidia? There were two major headlines that are important. Let me show you the one that just broke 30 minutes ago. A lot of reports came out saying that Jensen was with Mike Johnson in his office in DC. And now we probably know why. Bloomberg, Nvidia is poised for a major lobbying win after lawmakers excluded a proposal from the upcoming defense bill that would have restricted sales of advanced AI chips to China and other U.S. adversaries. Essentially, it seems like Jensen was in D.C. today speaking to the politicians, and Bloomberg sources are saying that it looks like he's going to make sure that there is not a part of the new AI Act that is coming through called the GAIN Act, which would force Nvidia and AMD to prioritize U.S. customers before selling to embargoed countries. This is actually really bullish for AMD as well, because you don't want AMD to not be able to sell it to China. That would be a massive revenue source for them, and AMD is up on the day. But Nvidia is red, which again is just weird. It's not making a lot of sense to me given the entire market is doing well. It is healthy to see the S&P 500 like less than 0.5% away from all-time highs, even though the most important stock in the S&P, 8% of the weighting is red. It means we're broadening, but it also is not making a lot of sense, which is why I ended up buying today. The second bigger headline is Nvidia had Jensen on Joe Rogan. And I think this was really cool. Yes, Jensen also will be speaking in 10 minutes at a tech conference, so we'll probably get some quotes from Jensen over the coming hour. But we got a lot of quotes from Jensen on this one. 2.5 hours with Mr. Joe Rogan. I did not expect this to drop during the middle of the day, but it did. There were some really good clips from it. Here's the one clip I want to show everybody, and then we'll go through more of them later. We also have the DealBook conference that happened with the New York Times, and we got a bunch of clips from that. But here's Jensen talking about the first time someone ever wanted to buy his supercomputer chip, and ironically, it was Mr. Elon Musk.
When I announced this thing, nobody in the world wanted it. I had no purchase orders, not one. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody wanted to be part of it, except for Elon. He was at the event, and we were doing a fireside chat about the future of self-driving cars. And he goes, you know what? I have a company that could really use this. And I said, wow, my first customer. And so I was pretty excited about it. And he goes, yeah, we have this company. It's a nonprofit company. And all the blood drained out of my face. I just spent a few $1 billion building this thing. It cost $300,000. And, you know, the chances of a nonprofit being able to pay for this thing is approximately zero. And he goes, you know, it's an AI company, and it's a nonprofit, and we could really use one of these supercomputers. And so I picked it up. I built the first one for ourselves. We're using it inside the company. I boxed one up. I drove it up to San Francisco, and I delivered it to Elon in 2016. And I walk up to the second floor where they were all kind of in a room, this smaller than your place here, and that place turned out to have been OpenAI.
It's not really nonprofit anymore, though, is it?
They're not nonprofit anymore. Yeah.
Weird how that works.
So I thought that clip was very interesting, and the fact that you had Elon be the first person to buy that supercomputer for what is now OpenAI, which Elon is not a part of, was pretty interesting. But yeah, we got a video right here as well. I did not see this, but Jensen, he absolutely it's not a rumor anymore. He was at DC. Here's a little bit of his commentary in Washington today. Trump's also live making an announcement. I have no idea what this announcement is. I'll try to find out in a second, but he's making some announcement live right now.
And half the world built on American technology.
Any concerns about your chips going to China?
Of course there is. And we have to ensure that United States has the best technology at all times, but that United States technology industry can continue to serve the world and win markets around the world.
Are you worried about competition from Google?
There are a number of China hawks who are there.
We have lots of competition from a lot of different places.
There are a number of China hawks. There are a number of China hawks who are very concerned that if your chips are being able to go to China and other countries, that's really going to compromise U.S. security. What's your message to them?
We have to ensure national security. Remember, China makes plenty of chips, and their military has plenty of ample chips and bought Chinese chips to build whatever they need. We need to ensure America can continue to win the technology leadership position around the world.
How do you feel about the GainAI Act being stripped from both chambers' versions of the NDAA?
I'm sorry?
The GainAI Act, how do you feel that both versions have been stripped from the NDAA now?
I think that's wise, because the GainAI Act is even more detrimental to the United States than the AI Diffusion Act.
Does there need to be some degree, though, of protection on advanced chips that Nvidia and others produce? Maybe not as something as extreme as the GainAI Act, but something within that vein.
We support export control, and we believe that United States should have the best technology all the time.
Do you think there should be federal regulations on AI, or would you prefer state by state? Obviously, that's the president wants to see federal regulations as opposed to individual states. What's your take on?
State by state AI regulation would drag this industry into a halt.
Okay, so some of the same stuff that Jensen's been saying for a while. We'll get some more thoughts on that in a bit. AMD at 217, Nvidia still selling off right here. Meta now selling off as well. Wow. Don't know what the headline is on Meta, but that's down 1%. We're going to get earnings in a bit for Salesforce, Path, and Snowflake. 639.50 on Meta. That's down 1%. Amcor 44, new highs of day, new highs for the year. That's up 8.2%. S&P still holding on, but you have a little bit of a red close. Amazon 232, that one's still red. Robinhood did hit 134, Palantir 176. Palantir going green and Nvidia going red. Usually that hasn't happened for the past couple of weeks, but I guess the market is feeling something about Nvidia. Tesla's up today based on that robotics news that we might have robotic czar, like an AI and crypto czar, and that's why Tesla's getting the benefit of that. Amazon not getting the benefit of that today. But Tesla right there at 445, AMD is green, and then Meta, not sure why that's selling off, but I'll try to get the headline for that in a second. So you had Jensen on Capitol Hill today, said a bunch of different things. The Joe Rogan podcast not really making a difference for the stock today, and neither is this Bloomberg headline about the GAIN Act being in NVIDIA's favor. Now, we don't know if NVIDIA is going to be able to sell into China, but the news and the headline that we got today definitely makes it more likely that NVIDIA is going to be able to get that China revenue, which is bullish, but it seems like the market doesn't care that much about it. The other big headline we had today on Robinhood, again, this company just continues to make me so unbelievably proud. It's hard to even put into words. 1.4 billion of transfers during their match promotion just for Tesla stock. This is when 2 weeks ago, Vlad said, hey, if you have some Tesla, we'll give you 2% to come to Robinhood. The average account size was $500,000. I mean, the company is just becoming a platform for anyone, whether you have $5 or $500 million to come to the platform. And 1.4 billion in net deposits, which is 16% of the entire net deposits they had last time in Q3 coming into Robinhood in basically less than a month. So very, very exciting for Robinhood. That was also good. That probably allowed Robinhood to get a bit more momentum. And that's why that stock is up on the day. I don't think there was a Google TPU headline. Some people are saying that could be the reason why Nvidia is down. I did not see anything like that today, but Nvidia is getting a dump right here. 179.35. Dump being 1% is not really a dump, but nonetheless, that is down on the day. CrowdStrike, that's up 1%. That reversed. That was at 504. Now that's at 522. Broadcom was down 2% of the day. Now that's at 330 or 380. Salesforce is up 2%. Path is up 4%. And then you have Snowflake, which is up 60% for the year. That is up 2.38%. On the poll in the chat, 41% of you say Snowflake will outperform. I have no dog in this race, have no idea which one it's going to be. So we'll see in the coming next 10 minutes which one outperforms, and we'll go from there. The other only headline that could be affecting the macro outside of the ADP payroll numbers we got this morning, which was negative 32,000 versus 40,000 expected. That's actually good for getting a rate cut because it means the labor market is weakening. There's this Bloomberg report that some people are not happy if Kevin Hassett would become the Fed chair. And the reason for that, which it's kind of obvious, but nonetheless, some people are upset that he's not really independent from Trump. And so you have bond investors telling Bloomberg, yeah, we think Trump is going to be super tight with Hassett, and we would rather want someone like Christopher Waller or Rick Reeder. Now, I don't know if Trump's going to try to appease the bond market by getting someone who's less independent because he really wants these rates to come down. So maybe it's not Kevin Hassett for that reason, but given how much he wants the rates to come down, I think it might end up being Kevin Hassett. So every political administration gets to pick their own people that they want to be in positions of power. Those are never fully neutral decisions, and there's always some bias there. Question is going to be how the market reacts to Hassett if he is announced as the next Fed chair. 683.82 on the S&P. We got 0.32% of the day. That is not bad to see, although you have some of the bigger names in the S&P taking a hit. Broader markets, AppLovin is up on the day. Verizon's up. Intel's up. Astera's up. MicroStrategy is up. Bitcoin got a big move today after falling in the morning on that Microsoft report. Now basically back to 93,000. This thing was at 83,000 3 days ago. So it is nice to see it getting a little bit more momentum right here as we get into the close for the day. All right, let's get into it. We got 3 big earnings. Let's see how this all plays out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Wednesday, December 3rd, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, we are done for the day. S&P got that green close. We were red in the morning after the Microsoft report. If you didn't hear the Microsoft news, again, it was a headline that said Microsoft is lowering their sales target. Microsoft came out that said that's not true. Nonetheless, still affected the market throughout the day. We did get a recovery on the S&P 500, 683.83. That's up 0.34%. Nvidia ended red on the day, down 1%. Meta got sold off right into the close by about 1.16%. Tesla got a big move up 4%. AMD was up 1%. Nebius did get a green close at 256. By the way, Kramer said to sell Iren and buy CrowdStrike. Iren's up 7%. So, of course, sometimes you just got to use the signal. And Iren right there, back up 7% after falling 15% yesterday. Rocket Lab, 6.75%. Not bad for the lab of rockets. That one got some love. And then ASTS as well. So the space name's getting some love. That was up 8% on the day. Palantir as well got to that 176 level. And we closed above 176, which was also nice to see for Palantir on the day at 176. All right, so let's see. Let me know in the chat if you own any of these names. Again, Salesforce, which is already pumping, Snowflake, and Path. Those are the 3 companies. Salesforce up 6%. Salesforce is up 6%. Let's see what we can get on their numbers. I don't think the numbers are going to be amazing, but I do think the stock being down 30% is probably oversold. There's still a company doing $40 billion in revenue, down 30% for the year. So there's got to be something that the market will like from Salesforce. Also, by the way, the Trump announcement right now is about the auto industry and rolling back those regulations. We talked about that in the morning. So we'll get a clip in a second of what Trump had to say. But the announcement that's live right now is about the auto industry and rolling back regulations to increase and authorize manufacturing production. Salesforce numbers, they missed on revenue. They beat on EPS. Missed on revenue, beat on EPS for Salesforce. 14% beat on EPS, though. That's a big one. 14% beat on EPS, 325 versus 286. Revenue is up 9% year over year. EPS is up 35% year over year. Revenue, it's a very small miss, 10.25 versus 10.27. So revenue is inconsequential. That's a big beat. 14% for a company of their size is legit. That's very legit. I mean, that's a massive one. 7% on the day. This is exactly what the street wanted to see. Now, the question is this a tax thing, accounting thing? Is it agent force leading to more initiatives of AI for margin enhancement? Are they laying off people so they get the one-time margin increase? I mean, 14%, I did not expect that big of a beat. When's the last time Salesforce beat by 14% on EPS too? So that's something that definitely deserves a pump. And we're going to see how much the street likes it. That's up 8% on the day. Don't have Snowflake or Path yet. We do have Five Below, which is like a dollar store. That's up 1.3%. They beat by 6% on revenue, 1.03 billion versus 983 million. And then revenue is up 23% year over year. They beat revenue by 6%. EPS, they beat by 162%. Street wanted 26 cents. They came in with 68 cents for Five Below. Another retailer stock, basically think of them as like a dollar store adjacent. Why are they beating EPS by almost 175%? If the consumer is that weak. Like the consumer that's probably making under 40,000 a year is shopping at Five Below. They're beating EPS by triple digits. That's just weird. It's really questioning this consumer is weak narrative. It's not just like a fancy brand like Abercrombie or Urban Outfitters from last week. Salesforce still up 8%. Don't have Snowflake, don't have Path yet. Don't have Snowflake, don't have Path yet. Let's see if we can get some update on those numbers. But Salesforce is up. Again, Salesforce beat by 14% on EPS. That's a big one. And revenue is in line with expectations. We got some quotes from Benioff. Let's get to this and see what he had to say.
Fabulous. Thank you. Well, talking about blue chip names in the Dow, Salesforce earnings are out. Seema Modi has the numbers for us. Hi, Seema.
Morgan, a very strong beat on Salesforce's bottom line, adjusted earnings of $3.25 versus the $2.86 estimate. Revenue came in line. Also key is the current remaining performing obligations of $29.4 billion. That is up 11% year over year and higher than Wall Street estimates. CEO Mark Benioff in the press release says its backlog is signaling a powerful pipeline of future revenue. He adds that Agentforce and Data 360 are momentum drivers. So speaking of Agentforce, the company's AI agent platform, there's been a lot of discussion around this. Accounts in production, that means clients that are transitioning from pilot phase to deploying AI agents, has increased 70% quarter over quarter. Now that is up from 60% in the previous quarter. They also add that 50% of Agentforce and Data 360 customers are coming back and expanding their partnership. That is up from 40% last quarter. Also worth noting, annual recurring revenue for Agentforce and Data 360 reaching $1.4 billion, up 114% year over year. So all of this is fueling confidence clearly from management because the company is raising its guidance for the fourth quarter and the year. The stock is responding up 9% here in overtime.
It looks like this is a legit beat from Salesforce. They're saying their AI product is leading to more and more customer adoption and retention, which means Agentforce is becoming legit potentially, and the market likes it. Snowflake, on the other hand, double beat, but down 7%. Double beat, but down 7%. Snowflake, 35 cents versus 31 cents expected. That's a beat by 13%. Revenue, 1.21 billion versus 1.18 billion. That's a beat by 3%. Revenue is up 29% year over year. EPS is up 75% year over year. Street does not like it. Not sure why. I'll try to see if we can get some guidance update from them. And if they're beating on these types of levels and Salesforce is putting up these numbers, you wouldn't think they are like reducing guidance. The stock was up 60% going into it. Maybe it was just priced aggressively, but that's weird. Snowflake down 7%, continues to fall. Salesforce up. Salesforce not holding that 7% move to the upside. Salesforce starting to see it come down a little bit. At least it's holding 4%. Last quarter, Salesforce reversed as well. It wasn't as aggressive as like a 10% to like negative 10%, but it did have a reversal. So we got to watch out for that one and see. UiPath still don't have their numbers. 5 below, that's up 2%. Snowflake still down 6. I could see Snowflake reversing pretty quick as well. Not sure what the knee-jerk reaction is to get that one down. Salesforce is up 3% on the day. Snowflake did not miss on revenue. Salesforce did, but they missed by like 0.01%. So that would not be something the street cares about. C3 AI, I didn't know they had earnings today, but they did. They also have a beat on EPS by 24%. They lost 25 cents or 25, lost 25 cents versus losing 33 cents expected. Revenue 75 million versus 74 million. Revenue is down 20% year over year. EPS is down 317% year over year. That's ugly. But they did beat expectations on the top and the bottom. C3 AI is down 4.7% on the day. This was a company that had a really good 2024 because people saw AI in the ticker and this one got pumped up. They have not been able to live up to those results by any sense of the imagination. I mean, $75 million in 90 days in the hottest sector in the world, which is AI. I mean, it's just not real growth at all. So C3 right there did get a move to 1588 after hours, but now it's down 3%. Snowflake still down 7%. Salesforce still holding up to 4% right now. All right, so the next one is Path. That's the one we got to see if Path can put up some numbers. I know a lot of people are getting excited about Path, and just even if they're taking it as a trade today. So we're going to see if Path can put up some numbers. Let me know in the chat if anyone bought Salesforce right before the print because you are doing well as this one is up. What do I think of Path? I have no idea. I genuinely have no clue. We are going to find out today if they can put up the results to kind of keep more of this momentum. Snowflake, we're getting some more numbers. Free cash flow, 113 million. RPO is up 37% year over year, 7.8 billion. They now have 750 customers in the Forbes Global 2000. Guidance for 1.2 billion next quarter. Fiscal year 4.5 billion. Everything I'm looking at on Snowflake is good. I don't know why that's down. Path is up 2%. A little bit of a move. No numbers yet, but a little bit of some green. I see a couple people say they're in Path for earnings. Oh, now it's down. Nope, now it's up. Nope, now it's down. Down 1.2. It was just up 2.3. Now it's flat. The market's confused on this one. No, now it's back up 2. Now it's down 0.27. Either the results are really good and no one believes it, or the results are bad, but not that bad. Or we might just end up getting a flat. I think the implied move is 7% on Path, right? 7% on Path. Path is out. Okay, let me see. Let's see if we can get the numbers on Path. By the way, Meta got Apple's top designer. Alan Dye, who was the head of Apple's UI design since 2015, has left to Meta, which was another headline this morning. Apple also hit all-time highs. But Meta continues to take these people. All right, so Path, double beat. 16 cents versus 15 cents EPS. That's up 45% year over year. That's a beat by 7%. Revenue, 411 versus 392. That's a beat by 5%. Revenue is up 16% year over year. EPS is up 45% year over year. Objectively speaking, it's not that impressive from an earnings perspective. I don't know anything about the company, but when you're talking about a big move, you might want to see a bigger beat. Now, then again, maybe the street is still going to be okay with it. But I think the street's trying to figure out how much they like it. Now it's up 5%, 5.4. They beat by 1 cent on EPS and they beat by a couple million on revenue. I mean, it's good. Question is, how good is the street going to think it is? 7%, you have that move on Path. Salesforce still down, Snowflake still down 5%. And Salesforce not holding on to that 8% move. Brian says it got out of Path long ago. A bunch of people got into Path this morning. UiPath now 6.3%. All right, Street's seeming to like it. It's holding on to the move. Again, small beat, but enough of a beat to get this. The stock was only up 15% year to date as well, so it's not like it's been a crazy year for the stock. Question now is, can it officially hold up? There are the numbers for Path. 7% on EPS, 5% on revenue. I mean, revenue's up 16% year over year. Again, that's, it's not really amazing growth, but again, the stock was dead for the past 2 years. So any level of growth maybe is what gets the Street a bit more excited. IONQ, former CFO, selling 1.4 million shares. Okay, so you have some insider selling on the quantum stocks. Jensen did talk a little bit more about quantum as well today. We'll get that clip in a second. Snowflake still down 5%. I mean, you're getting a move on Path, 7%. You got to be happy with that, especially if you got in for a trade. Stock was up 4% during the day. That's an 11% move. 11% in one day cannot be that bad. As that one starts to go green. Salesforce still up 5%. And then Snowflake, really don't get why Snowflake's red. But Snowflake is red. Five Below, let's get some coverage on that one. Again, another retailer name that continues to outperform, and then we'll keep going from there.
And Gabrielle Fonrouge has the numbers for us. Hi.
Hey, Morgan. So Five Below reporting adjusted earnings per share of 68 cents. That's almost 3 times higher than expectations of 24 cents. So really strong quarter. Also on the top line as well, reporting revenue of 1.4 billion. That's well ahead of 980 million that they were expecting. Key story tonight, though, is going to be guidance. This is a discretionary retailer. Everybody's wondering what they're going to be doing for holiday. So Q4, both EPS and sales guidance are coming in ahead of expectations. EPS are expecting $3.36 per share, or up to $3.54 per share, while expectations were $3.10 per share. And then when we're looking at revenue, they're expecting 1.58 billion to 1.61 billion, and that's ahead of expectations of 1.55 billion. And then, of course, we're also looking at what Winnie Park CEO said in the release. She had a little bit of tease towards holiday in her statement. She said, as we head into the holiday season, we are well positioned to delight our customers with unique gifts and stocking stuffers at incredible value and a fun shopping environment. So certainly a positive tone headed into holiday. Not a huge move on the stock, but a lot of this was baked in.
Dude, revenue, the Street expected 4.5 billion. They came in at 4.6. EPS, the Street was expecting 5.19. They came in at 5.89. I mean, those are some pretty decent beats for essentially a dollar store adjacent company. So yeah, the stock's not moving like crazy, but still, Path is moving like crazy. Wow, 10.7%. There you go, 1645. The bulls are in control here. This is the best stock performance after hours. Five Below's up 2. C3 AI just went green. Snowflake down 5. Salesforce up 3. UiPath is the winner right here. 10.7. 10.7 on the day. Is this Pat's first GAAP profitable quarter? Is that? I mean, let's go to their website. Well, that changes everything. If this is actually their first profitable quarter, no, that's a big. That's not just a 7% beat on EPS. Then that's a massive paradigm shift in terms of the trajectory of their earnings. If this is actually their first profitable quarter. Pulling up their website here right now. Let's pull this. Yeah, this is their first. Wow. $13 million of profit. I mean, there you go. That's probably why it's actually pumping. Forget the EPS beat. They turned a profit. There you go. Revenue of 411 million, ARR of 1.7 billion, EPS of 13 million for the first time in the company's history. CEO says, I'm pleased with the third quarter results, delivering ARR of 1.7 billion, a testament to our focus, consistent execution, and the momentum we're seeing as customers scale agentic automation across the enterprise. Enterprises are accelerating their AI and automation strategies, and they're looking for a unified platform rather than standalone tools. Our ability to bring deterministic automation, agentic automation, and orchestration together in one trusted governed system is a true differentiator. It's delivering meaningful outcomes for customers and positions us well as we close out the year. Their first profitable quarter at 13 million with revenue up 16% year over year. CFO says we deliver strong third quarter results, exceeding guidance across the board and achieving our first GAAP profitable quarter. The progress we made in strengthening and operating rhythm and execution is showing up in our results, and we feel well positioned as we head into the end of the year. Is Twitter down? I don't know. For some people, it might be down. You know, dude, for the Twitter, we couldn't even do the Twitter spaces today because no one could hear anything. My Twitter's working right now, but no one could hear anything on the Twitter spaces. We started it a second time and no one, Chris was going to pitch Meta on the space. It's going to be fun. So I'm sorry for those that joined and we just, I mean, no one could hear anything. I don't know what was going on, but we'll try to do it again next week. UiPath making a move higher, almost 13% on the day as that one continues to pump. Wow. Okay. Congrats if you're in it. Congrats if you are in it, and if you are trading it, maybe this is the time to sell if you're trading it after hours, but maybe the trade just turned into an investment if you think the numbers are that good. 15% now for Path as that one moves higher. Very, very nice to see it get this type of momentum on a good result. And again, profitability should be rewarded in the stock market. I mean, so many times we reward companies that don't put up any earnings, but they have a fun narrative. It's nice to see a stock get a move if it actually puts up the numbers. Snowflake still down 7%. Not sure why Snowflake is bleeding. And then Salesforce continues to be up about 4% on the day. Here's some more coverage on Path. Let's pull that up right here. And then we'll keep going from there.
0.5% right now. The company reporting EPS that beat by a cent and reporting a revenue beat of $411 million. That's versus estimates of $393 million from the street. License and subscription revenue both beating as well. And the company giving fourth quarter revenue guidance of $462 to $467 million. That's versus estimates of $463 million. We're going to speak exclusively with the CEO of UiPath, Daniel Dines. That's straight ahead and before the analyst call.
And C3 AI reporting results moments ago. That stock is, I was wiggling around. Let's see what it's doing. I'm going to have to look at a chart because you never know. It's moving around a lot after the company reported a beat on adjusted loss per share and subscription revenues, but missed gross margin expectations. You can see it there now up 4%. That happened quick. Joining me now in a first on CNBC interview, C3 AI CEO, Stephen McKinnon.
Okay, so C3, they did beat on the top and the bottom. That is slightly green. UiPath, the real story right here, getting this 12% move. Five Below's up 3%. C3's up 3%. Salesforce up 4%. Palantir's up a little bit after hours. The S&P's up a little bit. Nvidia getting a little bit of a move again. If you missed it, Jensen did the Joe Rogan podcast today. Big interview. A lot of clips going around on that one. And we'll look at a couple more of them. But Snowflake, that stock's still down on the day. Ethereum, this Fusaka upgrade, I still don't know exactly how important it is, but from the little I've read, people are saying it's a really big deal. Maybe that one is part of the narrative for why that's moving today. 3150. BMNR also had a pretty good day as well, up about 5.4%. Bitcoin at 93,000. Marvell, not a bad day either after earnings, up 8%, and then MicroStrategy up 4%. As well. Still not sure why Meta sold off into the close. I don't see any headline on Meta. We played those clips this morning about Meta poaching some of the OpenAI engineers, but it was having a good day until the very end. So you might have had some people take some profit right there. Is Trump still live? Let's transition to him. He's probably taking questions right now. Yeah, he is. Okay, let's go to him and see what we've got going on.
Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even. Every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. You want to? I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with. Go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. And without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon. I hope. But what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable.
Okay, so you're not getting any business questions there yet. This seems more on geopolitics with the Venezuela stuff. And then the Somalia question, 5 below, that's still up 2.6%. We'll see if we get any other Trump quotes from there. The reason for why he was being live was for the EV mandates and essentially rolling those back from the Biden administration. So that was the actual announcement that we had today, making it easier for companies to manufacture in the United States for cars and automotives. And we'll see if we get any other clips of quotes from Trump. 3 things that he said in the beginning. I believe our auto industry will be bigger than before. He sees ultra compact cars as a tremendous market in the US, and we're allowing people to deduct interest on their car loans, something that he ran on as well. Symbotic, that stock is down 12%. Why is that stock down so much? They had earnings like a week ago. They did get a downgrade on Monday by Goldman. That was on December 1st. Not sure. I don't see any headline after hours why that's getting hit. In fact, you had a political article today saying that the Trump administration was going to focus more on robotics. If anything, that should be a tailwind for a company like Symbotic. So that's weird. Not sure why that's getting hit after. There's got to be some news there, down 13%. Snowflake still not out of the doghouse. I don't know what the heck Snowflake said to get hit this bad. But Salesforce is the one that is up 5% right here, as that continues to get a move. Oh, mixed shelf offering. Yep, mixed shelf offering. That'll do it. That'll do it. I'm getting a call right here. Let me pick this up. I think I know why you called, Steve.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I think I know why you called.
So I'm listening to Jensen on Rogan, and Rogan flat out said to him that they're building Skynet. Amazing.
Okay, by the way, I'm live. I thought you called because Snowflake had a good earnings.
No.
Oh, sorry, not Snowflake, Salesforce.
I'm listening to Jensen. No.
Dude, don't you own this stock? You didn't even know they had earnings today?
I did know, but I'm not in my car. I'm walking to get coffee.
Okay, well, they had a good earnings. Just let me know.
Okay, so what were the earnings?
Well, I'll tell you later. We got other news we're looking at right now. I'll tell you later. I thought that's what you were calling because of freaking Salesforce, but
No, did you listen to Jensen?
no. We're about to play some clips right now, so I'll call you later. We'll talk about it.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, later. Dude, this guy, I thought he freaking cared about Salesforce. He doesn't give a shit about Salesforce. I legit thought that's why he was calling, because of Salesforce. No, he cares about Jensen and Nvidia. All right, so Salesforce continues to put up some decent numbers. That stock's moving. Symbotic still don't have the reason why that's down. That's up 5%. Snowflake, I'll try to get deeper and see why they're down. And UiPath, that's up 14% on the day. I'm not going to be streaming the Salesforce call. I actually got to leave in about 30 minutes. But we will be trying to get some clips from the Salesforce call and see what we have. Okay, let's go back to this. So we got a lot of other clips to look at just from what happened throughout the day. First of all, here's another one from Jensen praising Trump and the AI industry. And then we'll get into some of the stuff that Basent said this morning as well at the DealBook Summit.
Most people generally, as a country, as a giant community, which we are, it just only makes sense that we have manufacturing in America, that especially critical technology like you're talking about. Like, it's kind of insane that we buy so much technology from other countries.
If the United States doesn't grow, we will have no prosperity. We can't invest in anything domestically or otherwise. We can't fix any of our problems. If we don't have energy growth, we can't have industrial growth. If we don't have industrial growth, we can't have job growth. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And the fact that he came into office and the first thing that he said was drill, baby, drill. His point is we need energy growth. Without energy growth, we can have no industrial growth. And it saved the AI industry. I got to tell you flat out, if not for his pro-growth energy policy, we would not be able to build factories for AI. We would not be able to build chip factories. We surely won't be able to build supercomputer factories. None of that stuff would be possible. And without all of that, construction jobs will be challenged, right? Electrician jobs, all of these jobs that are now flourishing would be challenged. And so I think he's got it right. We need energy growth. We want to reindustrialize the United States. We need to be back in manufacturing. Every successful person doesn't need to have a PhD. Every successful person doesn't have to have gone to Stanford or MIT. And I think that sensibility is spot on.
So you got Jensen, this is not a new argument from Jensen. He's been very pro-American industrialization, so it makes sense that he's continuing to make the argument that Trump has been key to revitalizing AI. Let's finish up with this, the reporter questions that he was getting earlier today as well while he was at Washington.
And it would create a national security concern, as we need to make sure that the United States advances AI technology as quickly as possible. A federal AI regulation is the wisest.
Do you plan on talking to the senators about the H200 chip going to China?
No, we're going to talk about AI industry, AI technology, and its implication on national security, on the economy, and on technology leadership around the world in general.
Why do you think Congress tends to be more pro-export controls and more against some of your positions than the administration?
I'm in favor of export control, and the administration is in favor of export control. We're also all in favor of ensuring that the United States has the best technology and that the United States leads technology around the world.
So how do you make sure the U.S. does have the best technology then? Like, if not with the controls and some of the stuff that's gone with Gain AI, how do you really make sure that the U.S. is the one delivering and that other countries aren't stealing our information?
The fact of the matter is the industry has done that naturally all by itself. We work very closely with American technology companies, of course, the Microsofts, the AWSs, the Googles, XAI, Meta. All of these companies are American technology companies that we work very closely with. And so it's very natural for us to design and to launch our latest generation, our most advanced technology with American companies first.
About those Blackwell chips, are you currently speaking with the president or anyone else in the administration about getting those Blackwell chips exported to China currently?
No.
How about H200 from the White House? Are you speaking with the White House on H200?
We're talking to the White House all the time about export controls and what's the best way to.
The headline from Bloomberg, which was that the export controls likely are not going to be as aggressive, potentially, still was not enough to get Nvidia on a move. By the way, UiPath was up 15, now it's up 9, so that one taking a little bit of a sell-off. Symbotic, they had a share offering, but even with these Jensen comments, Nvidia still ended up red for the day at 179. Bitcoin still holding above 93. Iren was up 7%. Palantir still holding on after hours. That's up 3%. Snowflake apparently is partnering with Anthropic on a $200 million contract. So that news just came out. Very confused what the market is upset about. And I don't own Snowflake stock, but I don't like seeing a name like this get hit, especially if there's an AI reason why it's hit. 200 million. We're bringing agentic AI to global enterprises powered by Claude and Snowflake Intelligence. $200 million deal with Anthropic AI. On their website right now, looking at the earnings, it seems like a record quarter across the board. CEO Snowflake delivered another strong quarter, revenue $1.6 billion. Snowflake is the cornerstone for our customers' data and AI strategies, driving real business impact at scale. Snowflake Intelligence, enterprise AI agents saw the fastest adoption ramp in Snowflake history. That's bullish, and is transforming how businesses interact with their data, delivering real-time intelligence. Combined with our strategic partnerships with the world-leading AI model providers, clouds, and application platforms, Snowflake is supercharging the entire data lifecycle with AI-driven capabilities. Even guidance for next quarter looks fine. 27% year-over-year growth. They did 29 just now. Yeah, their margins are not the best. That's fair. But it's not like the street didn't know about that. So that is a bit weird, but Snowflake is still down. Let's go back to Trump, see if we can get anything from this. Or is that done? Hold on, let's see. Is he still live? He might have been ended just now. Yeah, it ended. Okay, so we'll wait till we get some quotes from what Trump had to say, but looks like that one is coming to an end. All right, so let's pull up this. There's a couple of clips from Basent that are important to look at. Fear and greed, by the way, down to 20 or up to 27, and we are officially in fear. So we have left extreme fear for the day, even with Nvidia down, but the broader market doing well. If you take a look at the heat map that we have, again, overall good day for the market. Some of the tech names were red. Netflix took it on the chin today, down 5%. Let me know if anyone bought that Netflix dip. But everything else besides tech got a bit of a move, which created some momentum. Okay, so let's pull up these couple clips from Mr. Basent and see what he said. This was one of the ones that's been going a bit more viral about how he thinks about the New York Times.
Is this a new normal? That, Andrew, there's no new normal. And I can tell you that I actually don't read the New York Times anymore. But sometimes I do watch CNBC, but occasionally people send me articles, and there's just this fever swamp. And you're now a pop historian with 1929, and in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the New York Times is no longer the paper of record. You can't go. I read this article. President Trump is slowing down. President Trump's mental capacity. It is 100% fake. That he only called me twice at 2 a.m. last week instead of 3 times.
You're saying he called you? I believe that he called you at 2 or 3 a.m.
That whole narrative, and this is why people this is why young people are going to TikTok. The story. Somebody else sent it to me. Mike Johnson is beleaguered that he and his wife were so tired. They gave actually a very sympathetic and funny interview that somehow got twisted on the pages of the New York Times into this. It's just.
Let me say this though, just if I could. I think that what's happening here, and I will just defend that article for a moment, not because I had nothing to do with it, but I think part of it is, if you remember, the media, including the Times and others, got criticized for not raising more issues around the health of Joe Biden. You remember this? And by the way, we did actually on this stage with the Vice President of the United States back then. But nonetheless, I think there was a lot of criticism about that. And so I think there's now a renewed sense that given people's age, that we should be doing more in that space. I don't want to overstate it. It's not something I wrote, but I'm just trying to.
You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was the New York Times? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting. How are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president, which they didn't? That I hear from people in the Treasury building that I see President Trump more in a day than my predecessor saw Joe Biden in half a year. So
I'm not taking the position one way or the other. I'm just saying I think it's a fair question to at least raise.
Well, look, I think this is why you just wrote a book. People in 20, 30, 40, 50 years deserve to know what really happened, as opposed to again.
So that was Basent's critique about how the mainstream media has been covering Trump. Here was the other question that I thought was important around another concept a lot of people are talking about, which is affordability.
You've been talking about is that the regional presidents you think actually are not as independent unto themselves that you want.
Well, no. I think when I was on Squawk Box last week, Becky said, "Well, Susan Collins at the Boston Fed says this," and that her people in her district are having an affordability.
Okay, someone said Basent almost punched him. This comment wins. This comment wins for the market close. This one wins. I'm sorry, but that one wins.
Problem. I should have said, well, she's in a red state. Affordability is worse. In a blue state, affordability is worse than a blue state.
We can debate that, but keep going.
There's no debate. The number 50 basis points higher inflation. The 10 highest inflation rates, they are in blue cities, but
just so you know, because I went to look at this. This is the Joint Economic Committee, since 2021. The highest inflation of the past 4 years has been in red states, especially Florida.
I'm talking about current.
Current. Not over the past 4 years.
Right. Today.
Okay. I would think 4 years would be a reasonable trend line to look at.
Today it is 50 basis points higher. So anyway, and look, the people are voting with their feet. I have the American people on my side. That New York, Illinois, California, Massachusetts are depopulating.
And they're going to places in Florida, like Florida, where interest rates are I'm saying inflation's up 22% over the last 4 years.
Well, inflation is up 25% nationally, so it's lower.
I believe in New York it was 19%.
Sorry?
I believe in New York it was 19%.
I don't think that's right.
We can go through the math.
But
So it got dicey with Basent up there as he was defending the administration. We're going to get a lot more clips from these DealBook conferences and people that were there. This was another one that I thought was interesting. Larry Fink officially admitting he was wrong about crypto.
Called crypto an index for money laundering. BlackRock
and thieves.
And thieves.
Yes.
Money laundering and thieves. Right. You now have the biggest Bitcoin ETF. So what happened here?
I have very strong views, but that doesn't mean I'm not wrong. By having strong views, you have to test yourself and ask yourself. And in my role, I see thousands of clients a year. I have governmental leaders, and we have these conversations. And my thought process always evolves. And this is a very glaring public example of a big shift, in my opinion.
Called crypto an index from.
So just a lot of important quotes throughout the entire day. Larry Fink admitting he was wrong about crypto, obviously, when he realized the massive amounts of capital he can get off of institutionalizing Bitcoin in an ETF, which BlackRock has made. I mean, they have like, what, 40 billion in custody? I don't know how much that is on fees and revenue, but they've definitely collected a good chunk of change. That is, I think, when his opinion changed. Salesforce still up 5%. I don't get why Snowflake is dumping here. $200 million deal with Anthropic. Revenue growth is fine. Guidance is fine. EPS growth is really good. That's weird why Snowflake is dumping. It doesn't seem like anything fundamental in the numbers. UiPath was up 15. Now it's up 8. So if you bought closer to 17, you're down a bit. But UiPath still up about 8% on the day. What about Snowflake's market share? I mean, throughout the entire AI SaaS space, I'm not sure exactly their market share, but nothing in those earnings prove that this thing deserves to be down 9%. And I don't even have Snowflake as a stock. It's just weird to see it get hit on earnings like that. Like you don't really want to see those names get hit if they deliver good earnings, but you're seeing that with Snowflake. Here's the UiPath CEO. Let's get over to him. And here's what he had to say about his quarter.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. We are very pleased with the execution in the quarter. The growth was driven primarily by the momentum that we are seeing in agentic. It creates a pull through across all our platform. And of course, paired with good execution on our part, it landed to what I call a solid quarter.
So can we say that your agentic strategy is taking root and working here?
I would say so. Our message in agentic was always very clear. We believe that deterministic automation is part of the foundation to leverage agentic into enterprises. What we offer is deterministic automation plus agentic plus orchestration to achieve end-to-end process automation. We believe this is really the core tenet of driving solid outcomes.
We just mentioned Snowflake, which also reported earnings this hour. That's one of your partners. You have a number of partnerships. You've announced more in the quarter as well. How deep do these partnerships run, and which ones do you think will be the most valuable, the most meaningful over the longer term?
Yeah, I think all of them will be really meaningful. We partner with Snowflake for the data layer and their ontology layer, while we'll leverage, of course, OpenAI in different aspects of our platform. I'm also bullish on our partnership with Nvidia to provide more governance, secure environments.
All right, so that's the UiPath CEO. Again, the number is relatively decent. I do not know much about the business, but stock's up 9% right here, and it's making a move. Snowflake still down. Salesforce still up 5%. I think for Salesforce, this was the biggest earnings of the day because this stock has been in the gutter for the past year and a half, and they really need to show some good results. And based on what we heard, it looks like Agentforce is working, which again, regardless of if you own the stock or not, we all should want to see these enterprise AI companies or enterprise SaaS companies that are trying to really use AI as a growth tailwind for their business to win, right? Like the more they win, the more cloud compute they buy, the more Nvidia chips get sold. So like the entire ecosystem benefits. RPO is up 12% to 60 billion. Agentforce surpasses 3.2 trillion tokens, and top line revenue growth is up 11% year over year. Mark Benioff said, we are raising our fiscal year 2026 revenue guidance to 41.4 billion. Our Agentforce and Data 360 products are a momentum driver, hitting nearly 1.4 billion in ARR, an explosive 114% year-over-year growth. We now have 9,500 paid Agentforce deals and 3.2 trillion tokens processed, underscoring our leadership in building the agentic enterprise and driving real outcomes. All right, so Salesforce getting that 5% move. I still don't have any headline on Meta being down. Honestly, it could have just been end of day dump from the profits that people got buying it cheap on Monday. I don't see any single headline to cause that. I mean, the Apple senior designer leaving to Meta as well was like bullish because Meta snooped someone who's been designing for Apple since 2015. So I don't know why that's bearish, but Apple, where did that end on the day? 284. Apple did go down. It was at 288. That's a 1% move on Meta, but it is weird why that happened right at the end of the day. Okay, a couple other things that are going on in the macro, and then we will keep going from there. Well, first of all, before I even get into that, here's another Jensen clip that I thought was important. This is, and we're going to get a lot more of these clips over the coming days, but this is Jensen talking about more of the world's knowledge getting created by AI.
And more of knowledge in the world will be generated synthetically going forward. Until now, the knowledge that we have are knowledge that we generate and we propagate and we send to each other and we amplify it and we add to it and we modify it, we change it. In the future, in a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, 90% of the world's knowledge will likely be generated by AI.
That's crazy.
I know, but it's just fine.
But it's just fine.
I know. And the reason for that is this. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
It's because what difference does it make to me that I'm learning from a textbook that was generated by a bunch of people I didn't know, or written by a book that, from somebody I don't know, to knowledge generated by AI computers that are assimilating all of this and resynthesizing things. To me, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. We still have to fact check it. We still have to make sure that it's, based on fundamental first principles, and we still have to do all of that, just like we do today.
A lot of good moments from this Jensen interview. It was very natural too. I watched the first 15 minutes of it, and the first time Joe met Jensen was at a SpaceX event, and then the second time was Jensen and Trump were together, and they called up Joe because they wanted to talk about the newest chip. So it was actually pretty funny how they connected, but it was very, very natural, and I think the podcast itself ended up being ended up being pretty strong. I meant to say sniped, not snooped. Did I actually say snooped? I meant to say sniped. Maybe that's a new thing we can say, snooped. Okay, prediction markets. What's going on in the world of prediction markets? So again, we're getting more and more updates. Some people might have seen this already, but Kalshi is now partnering with CNN to provide real-time updates on prediction markets, which I think is a pretty big deal because mainstream media tends to get it wrong. Prediction markets have gotten it right way more than they have gotten it wrong. And so that one is going to be very important as more and more of the ecosystem of the mainstream media partners with prediction markets. On top of that, Fanatics, Michael Rubin, they launched a prediction market platform. So Fanatics, which a lot of people know for buying like either for sports betting or like buying hats and jerseys and stuff, they launched the prediction markets in 10 states with 24 to come. And they are now entering the race for prediction markets with Kalshi and Polymarket. Polymarket's app is now #1 on the App Store. That came out yesterday. And Kalshi raised at an $11 billion valuation. So it continues to seem like more and more of the world is transitioning to these prediction markets as they continue to basically realize this might be a better source of truth than a lot of the other sources of truth that we have. And I think they're here to stay, which just means more volume, more growth, better liquidity, better distribution, a lot of other players entering into the space. And so that should be a tailwind for the overall ecosystem as well. Jensen's about to be live. We have a stream of Jensen. He's not live yet. Jensen Huang speaks on securing U.S. leadership in AI. This is going to be at a fireside chat at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in D.C. So we'll see what Jensen says there. 75% chance Supreme Court rules against the Trump tariffs. Yeah, that is on the prediction markets. Lutnick this morning said he doesn't think the tariffs are going to go against them, but then again, he kind of has to say that. So we will find out probably towards the end of the year what the Supreme Court says, if not early January, but I think we should be finding out pretty soon. Rocket Lab, big day, up 7%. That one's still moving. Snowflake, Street hates it, down 9%. Salesforce up 5%, and then UiPath holding on to that 10.5% move on the day. Think those are some of the main headlines. Fusaka upgrades happening in 1 minute. Did they really? Is it happening at 4:50 p.m. Eastern? Is it that like specific? When is the Fusaka upgrade? It's definitely today, December 3rd. By the way, we survived the worst day for December. December 3rd seasonally is the worst day. S&P 500 was green. So we did survive that day. This is a simple summary of the Fusaka upgrade for Ethereum. Should be rolling out very soon. And we're going to see what impact. Last time Ethereum got an upgrade was back in May when they got a different upgrade. Okay, so that's what we got. Seems like that'll be happening. Does ETH just go automatically to 4,000? Do we get to just see it moon up? Because that would be fun. Pat's still up after hours, then ETH right there at 31.52 after hours. All right, I think those are the main headlines. I'm seeing if there's anything else. Don't have any Trump quotes. Oh, let's look at CARP. So CARP was also at the conference, had a bunch of different things that CARP had to say. We haven't gotten any crazy Palantir headlines. Again, they had earnings about a month ago, so since then haven't seen too much. But here are a couple clips from CARP at the DealBook conference.
What is the biggest problem in this culture? I'll tell you the biggest problem. No one believes the institutions are credible. And why don't they believe they're? And I struggle to believe they're credible too, because these business leaders make completely stupid decisions. And they get bailed out. A year later, they're getting huge bonuses. And what do the American people get? Nothing. And that's a huge problem. Like if you make, so I think the real version is like, I made a lot of decisions when we began talking, annoying each other 10 years ago. Hopefully I'm annoying you as much as 10 years ago or more. When I made you know this, every decision Palantir made, FDAs, going public, building products, enterprise, large data sets, going to government, acknowledging American superiority, being pro-meritocracy, launching an AI platform, calling into question that AI models would actually be able to perform without orchestration. Every single one, every single ontology, every single one of those was viewed as stupid. You know what I actually have grown to appreciate about capitalism? All the people who made the right decisions went broke, are going out of business, or now have to copy us. Microsoft launched ontology. Everyone wants to do FDEs. Everyone basically copies me and Palantir.
You can tell Karp has the passion that he's been having all year when making these arguments. And he is right that a lot of other companies have decided to embrace the aspects of Palantir that they used to say were not real. Here's the other clip that Palantir posted from Karp at the conference.
In this country, you have 1% of the country in prison, 1% who were in prison and therefore have no rights. Do you know what happens to you when you go to prison? They take you away from your kids. You know who that happens to? Disproportionately working class, disproportionately Black and Hispanic men and white men in the underclass. Where are the thousands of articles about them? Nobody cares, and they don't care because it does not either serve the ability, the desire to force me to vote for one party, which basically takes away all my power. That's effectually what it does. If I agree to say this is the worst thing in the world, I essentially have given up my vote. My vote is not for you. My vote is for these two issues. The second reason they don't care is because somehow no one has empathy with any of those people because none of us really deal with those people. At Palantir, we are on the side of working class Americans. We support people who go to the military. We save their lives. We bring them home safer. Our AI actually makes workers more wealthy, more valuable. And the 10 to 15 million people that love me, despite what's written, half of them made a lot of money on us. And you know what they're like? They're like people like me who think, you know what? We have to do better. Of course we have to do better.
And then this is the other clip of Karp basically saying, hey, the New York Times, you've written some crappy articles about us. Remember back in June, there was that article about Palantir building a database. This was Karp's response to it.
And I'm a little bit pissed at the New York Times, honestly, but and the main reason is I believe in your, if you're listening, I believe in your mission. When you write a technically completely illiterate article, you lose a lot of credibility with people who are technical. And that's just a fact. That article about us being a surveillance thing is like where it's all implied what we do. Yeah, but the problem is you lose credibility with anyone who goes on the thing. And that's damaging for our democracy.
Let me ask you this.
Again, look left and right. The one thing I would say to people in the audience, a lot of you think I'm right. And you know your spouse, your relative, your child, the person at work would be horrified if they knew it. You better speak up because everyone who thinks I'm ridiculous fascist, they're speaking up. They write about it every day. If you do not speak up, the people who are disagreeing with me or think I'm stupid, a lot, I disagree with myself. So you have to speak up. And you cannot blame the far left, far right idiots. When they speak up for their views, do you speak up for your views? Where? Do you tell your colleague? I bet you at the New York Times, a lot of people read that article about us and were ashamed. Did you go to your editor and say, how could you write something that's technically illiterate? The guy might be a fascist, but this is technically illiterate.
Okay, let me ask you a different question.
Did you or didn't you? Because if I'm the only one speaking up, you're going to get a world of technical illiteracy on the right, on the left, and in the middle.
Now, tell me with this. A lot of people.
I mean, look, it was not a good article when it came out. I mean, whether you like Palantir or not, the article was laughable. And it really had no basis in reality to the point where Palantir had to literally invite the editors of the article to come to their office to actually have a demo of their platform before making these types of claims. So I can understand why Karp's just like, dude, you guys are full of shit. You guys have a lot of influence. I'm going to speak up right now and tell you how full of shit you are and tell the audience that they need to call people out when they're full of shit. And so I think it makes sense for him to make that argument right here. Palantir 176 on the day, up 3.3%. Salesforce, or 3.1%. Salesforce up 5.2%. Snowflake still down after hours. And then UiPath up 9% on the day. I think those are most of the headlines, folks. Some questions that remain. Why is Snowflake down as much as it is? Don't have the answer to that. Why did Meta sell off into the close? Don't have the answer to that. Tesla probably pumped based on that robotics news today. Amazon did not get a pump. So I guess the market's more inclined to give Tesla the bid over Amazon. We did get some crazy call option today. I mean, this is another reason why Tesla pumped. Someone's out there and they're buying a lot of calls. So if you look at these flows that are coming in. Tesla 550 call, $13 million. Yeah, silver, massive day. 550 strike for January 16th. I mean, if we go from 443 to 550 on January 16th, that would be very exciting. But someone bought 13 million of those calls. And so maybe that could happen. Yeah, maybe it's Barron Trump. Maybe it's Chris Miller. Guys, ETH is not pumping. What? Like, ETH went from 3150 to 3164. That is a $15 move. I'm sorry, but that's not a pump. That is not a rocket ship either. Am I crazy here, or going from 3150 to 3162 is not going to the moon? Even if we were at 3,200, I'd be like, okay, that's a $90 pump. That's a little bit more than $15. Trust me, I've got BM&R. I would love this thing to go back. Freaking Tom Lee got us to buy this damn thing at $40, $50. So I would love for it to get back there, but it seems like it's going to take more time. By the way, speaking of Tom Lee, oh yeah, I did want to show this to you guys. So this was his video that he posted this morning. Jensen, by the way, still not live on that call, but he will be live in a bit. This was Tom Lee's argument for the 6 reasons we should get an end-of-year rally. I'll speed it up a little bit, but it's already a pretty quick video. It's about 2 minutes. So let's play that right here.
That's when the Fed began, and maybe more importantly, quantitative tightening is ending. Now, QT began on April 22nd. That's when the Fed began to shrink its balance sheet and is set to end on December 1, which is today. The last time there was QT ending was from January 2018 to September 2019. And if we look back at that period of time, when the Fed ended QT on September 4th, 2019, the S&P embarked on a rally of 17% over 16 trading days. So I think with, again, the same kind of couple-day lag, I think the same effect's going to happen, which is positive. And that's dovish for stocks. Now, on Sunday evening, Eastern time, the Bank of Japan's odds of a hike actually jumped to 61%. That put some pressure on crypto and futures markets overnight before the Monday session. But keep in mind, the Fed is moving in the opposite direction. The odds of a Fed cut in December are now 89%. And we also have to keep in mind the Fed is soon set to announce a new Fed chair. Now, markets believe it's Kevin Hassett. And in fact, if you look at Polymarket, the odds of Hassett being Fed chair is now stands at 73%, which has risen a lot in the last month. And the next most likely is no announcement at 17%. So between the two, that's 90% of the outcomes, which is dovish for markets.
So pretty simple argument by Tom Lee. Essentially, QE is coming, shadow Fed is coming, earnings are strong, market should be good towards the end of the year. And, it's the same narrative we've been talking about for a while, but if that is the case, then that would not be the worst thing in the world. Ethereum right there at 3165. Solana is making a little bit of a move. Is it right here? Let me see. Let's look at all of crypto right now. All of crypto. How are we doing? Solana is up more than Ethereum right now. It's up 3%. ETH is up 0.86. Bitcoin's up 0.8. XRP is up a little bit. Binance is up a little bit. And then Bitcoin at 0.82. Yeah, I don't know if this Fusaka thing is going to get us to go to the moon anytime soon, but hopefully it is effective long term. Trump aides to meet with top Ukrainian negotiator Thursday in Miami, Florida for more Russia-Ukraine peace talks. Okay, that's good. That would be important for geopolitical stability if this peace deal actually does have a chance of getting done by the end of the year. We did get a Costco's November sales updates, actually pretty good, 8.1%. That beat the expectations. November sales were up 23.64 billion. Comparable sales in the U.S. up 6%, Canada 6.9%, and then excluding gas, total comps are up 6.4% in November. So once again, some strong signs of strength from Costco. even in Canada, which was up 6.9%. By the way, speaking of Canada, you guys know YouTube's doing this like YouTube Wrapped thing. Look at who my top channel was. This freaking guy. This freaking Canadian ended up being the #1 thing I watch on YouTube. I really didn't think I watched Tanner that much, but it's Tanner. And then look who was #5, even though he started YouTube a month ago. #1 is Tanner. #2 is The Compound. #3 is CNBC. 4th is ESPN. I don't even think I watch that much ESPN. Like I really don't think I watch. Like maybe once in a while I have it in the background. And then you got Steve up there. I gotta send it to Tanner. I'm like, dude, I didn't know I liked you that much. I mean, I like you. I didn't know it was that much. Okay, is Jensen live? Is he live? Let's see. Jensen is live. Let's head over to Jensen.
Product is pure technology, and in order to use it, you have to create software and applications for various industries above it. You know, if you look at most of the technology companies today, some of it could be in social media roles or something else. Our business model is purely technology. Now, the way that AI works and our technology works is that in the final analysis, the technology platform is built in layers. And that's one of the reasons why we think of it as a platform. You're standing on top of it. An application or an industry stands on top of that platform. That platform starts with energy on the bottom. One of the reasons why this administration has made such a huge difference right away is this pro-energy growth initiative. Its attitude about energy is that if we don't have energy, we can't enable this new industry to thrive. It is absolutely true. So layer 1 is energy. Layer 2 are essentially the chips and systems, but the chips. That's where Nvidia comes in. Layer 3 is a whole bunch of software, and we build a whole bunch of software on top of our chips. And we're well known for this piece of software called CUDA, but there's hundreds of different pieces of software that we create that enables people to do AI for different fields of science or language or images or whatever it happens to be, robotics and manufacturing and such. But that third layer is called infrastructure, basically software. Now, people historically have thought of infrastructure really as cloud. But increasingly, it's really important to realize that infrastructure includes land, power, shell, because these are, and I'll speak about this in a second, that this industry spawned another industry altogether, and I'll come back to that. But the third layer is basically infrastructure, and that infrastructure includes financial services because it takes an enormous amount of capital to do what we do, and historically, all of that software. The layer above that, and this is where people largely focus on when they talk about AI, which is the AI models. This is the revolutionary, of course, ChatGPT, incredible work that Anthropic does with Claude, and Google does with Gemini, and what XAI does with Grok. But the important thing to realize, those are 4 of the 1.5 million AI models in the world. AI is not just intelligence that understands English or language, but it's AI that understands genes, proteins, chemicals, the laws of physics, AI that understands quantum, AI that understands physical articulation, otherwise known as robotics, AI that understands patterns across long sequence of time, financial services, AI that understands longitudinally across multiple modalities, healthcare. And so AI has all of these different reaches and domains. We talk about this one area. We just have to be very careful to understand that AI spans basically every form of information across every field of science, across every single industry. 1.5 million AIs around the world. On top of that are all the applications. And we never should forget that in the final analysis, these AI models are technologies, but technologies are about enabling application and use, whether you're in health.
All right. That is what we got for Jensen. I'll leave the link right here in the chat if anyone wants to continue listening to it. Again, a lot of the same stuff that we have heard Jensen say many times, but he is speaking to much broader audiences to learn about what's going on with AI. I did buy more Nvidia today. I mean, I really am confused how the market is getting excited about Nebius and Amcor, which very happy those names did well today, but how is Nvidia stuck? And like, it's weird. You don't have a lot of these names without Nvidia. And so whatever bias the market has against Nvidia being a bubble, Jensen continuing to make the argument for why it's real and then proving it with the numbers, I think is bullish. Now, some of the bears are saying Jensen shouldn't be going on Joe Rogan because he's trying to pump the stock too much. I mean, maybe there's an argument there, but then again, like, should Jensen have responded about Google TPUs? Should they have said anything during DeepSeek? I mean, like, he is a very pro-content oriented CEO. He's embracing independent media. He's embracing social media. And Joe Rogan is not some random podcaster. I mean, that's tens and tens of millions of people that are going to be listening to that probably have no idea. I mean, dude, my sister still had no clue. I was talking to her over Thanksgiving how ChatGPT works. She didn't know that Nvidia is the reason for ChatGPT. I mean, most people have no idea what a GPU is or that a GPU is what's necessary to make AI happen. That's the majority of the world. And so the education of that is very important as more people recognize how valuable it is. And so I don't think it's bearish that he's going on these podcasts. I think it's just him getting the message out there. And so that makes sense. Your sister sounds really smart. Does she know what Rocky? You know what's up? Oh, I didn't tell you guys this story. So Steve tried to be funny at the dinner that we were at during Thanksgiving, and him and Derek started asking my sister questions, and he was like, so I really need to know, do you understand like how much your brother doesn't get pop culture and stuff? And she just started laughing, and then Steve was like, you know who Rocky Balboa is, right? And my sister was like, no. I started laughing. I was like, bro, I'm telling you, we both didn't watch this shit growing up. If I don't know who Rocky, you think she's gonna, like, I knew when Steve was like, I'm gonna ask your sister these questions. I'm like, dude, she's not gonna be able to answer this shit. You think I don't know what Rocky, like, she doesn't watch Rocky. So that was hilarious because Steve like finally understood that we just didn't grow up like watching these movies. And she confirmed it for him right there. So she doesn't know what NVIDIA GPUs are or what Rocky is, but Jensen being on these podcasts, my sister actually is a big Joe Rogan fan. Like, she listens to Joe Rogan all the time. So, you know, maybe she catches a clip of Jensen saying something about AI that catches her attention, and then, you know, she more deeply understands what's going on in the world of AI. For those that missed this headline as well, big update on Robinhood, $1.4 billion, which is 16% of their average monthly deposit rate, happened in the month of November just for the 2% match that they gave for Tesla stock. The average account size was $500,000. So Robinhood continues to just become, as Arnie coined back in June of 2023, an asset vortex. And I mean, dude, if the bear case was a year ago that this is a meme stock trading app with people that only have $10,000, this is becoming a platform for people that have 500,000, 5 million, 50 million, 500 million. Like, a lot of big people and big accounts are joining the platform. So you're getting a lot more momentum for a company like Hood there. All right, I think that is it for today. I'll be back on tomorrow's market open. Tomorrow's Thursday. This week is moving by super quick. Oh, tomorrow is not. We're not going to have a market close tomorrow, and you guys will find out why later. But there's going to be no market close. There will be a market open. I'll have a daily recap out in a couple hours. I think that's pretty much it. And then we got Friday. So this was a quick week to start off December, and so far it's holding up. Yes, I saw Caper stock, CAPR. Apparently Skrelly was short. The thing went up like 500%, up 371%. Don't know anything about it, but massive, massive day based on the drug results that they put out. So there you go. That is it for me. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Most of the headlines today have to do with a lot of the clips we got from this DealBook Summit. We'll have more of those clips tomorrow morning. Again, Jensen on Joe Rogan. We'll probably get some more coverage on that. But all in all, I think the major headline of the day was this Bloomberg article, not the Microsoft hit piece that came out this morning, which feels like a lifetime ago, but that was this morning and it created so much hoopla for no reason. But the Bloomberg article about Nvidia winning a lobbying effort, most likely to have a framework to eventually sell into China, that's a big deal. And so hopefully we see if that can continue going forward. And then you have this Fusaka upgrade for 8th, which hopefully does well for everybody. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.